Welcome to Hickory Rotary Club. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. John. My country, 'tis a big, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrims' pride, from every mountainside, let freedom ring. Now John Bates has our invitation.
Let us pray. Oh God, we thank you for this day, for all of your many blessings. We pray for those who are not as fortunate as we, for those all over the world who are distressed and sorely tried. We ask that you be with them and you guide us and help us to provide service to all of those who need it. Amen.
Amen. Song of the day, Mary Texas.
When the saints go marching in, oh, when the saints go marching in, yes, I want to be in that number. When the saints go marching in, and when the sun begins to shine, and when the sun begins to shine, Lord, I want to be in that number when the sun begins to shine.
Thank you. Be seated. Singing actually sounds better from up here. Cliff Goddard will have our visiting Rotarians.
Okay, visiting today from Lake Hickory Club is Jeff Klein, John Leach, and David Hood.
Okay, do we have any guests of Rotarians in the dining room? Right side? Down the center, Linda?
I have him visiting today, Arnita Dula, Deputy Attorney with City of Hickory.
Let's see, Arnita. Anybody else? Left side? Any other visitors? Okay. David Milholland as our Rotary moment. All right.
I realize the reason Clarence didn't give the birthdays last week is one of them. So birthdays are the 20th was Charles Deal, Neil McGahee's the 20th, Clarence Pugh was the 21st, Robert Hambrick the 22nd, Andrew Surratt 22nd, Mark Huckleby the 23rd, David Millsap the 27th, Dan Duke the 27th, Jill Patton the 28th, and Jeff Hale the 30th. Tom, Dick, and Harry went to a party. After the party, they returned to the hotel. The hotel was 600 stories high. Unfortunately for them, the elevator was not working. They made plans for the first 200 stories. Tom will crack jokes. The second 200 stories, Dick will tell happy stories, and lastly, Harry will tell sad stories. Then they started up the steps. After 2 hours, it was Harry's turn. Harry turned to the others two and said, "Okay, guys, here's my story. I've got the keys downstairs."
Okay, thank you, Dave.
And entertainment.
Frank Young.
Yes. Thank you, David. Okay, I don't have any propaganda today. All I have is the sign-up sheet. 2 weeks from today is a big day. Is that for the no propaganda? I'm not going to be here next week, so I really hope that I can get some more sign-ups today. We've had a very good last week, actually. We had a lot of emails. Right now I have about... well, I have 25 names on here, but I have a lot of promises. I just hope those promises come through. Yeah, so again, it's 2 weeks from today, the 8th, May 8th, St. Luke's, right across the street, from 1 to 6. Again, we get free crawdads tickets too, and a free oil change from Mike Johnson. Free oil change from Mike Johnson. Thank you. Appreciate it.
And all those promises must stand by the four-way test.
That's right. Thank you.
Bill Dodd.
Okay, Hickory Elks Lodge in partnership with City of Hickory and the Hickory Crawdads is sponsoring Taste of Hickory, May 18th, Sunday, 4 to 7 p.m. We will have local cuisine, restaurants, wineries, breweries. Music will be provided by America's Got Talent Ulysses Long for the event. Tickets are $25 in advance. I have them, and I will be here for the next couple of weeks. It is a fundraiser for the Hickory Elks Lodge, and all the money goes back into the community for the Elks Lodge projects. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill. You have tickets there.
Yes, I do.
Okay. As you should know, we're undergoing some planning, strategic planning, and we've been talking about that. Last week had a meeting to fill out some surveys, and I'd like for Guy Garino to bring us up to date on that.
Thank you, President-to-be David. Yeah, last week, as you remember, most of you were here, we had the surveys on the tables, and we had about 43 people turn them in, but I know several people took them home because they needed to do what you do at NC State. You had to do some figuring and get back. But anyway, so if you have your survey today, please bring it to me. And if not, I know Bruce sent out an email to all of us that received email last week, so you can fill it out online or you can print it and fill it out and bring it back to me. But we hope to get this wrapped up by next week because we're collating the data now. It's a lot of work. The numbers aren't hard, but all the comments and stuff, we're trying to get trends there. So please turn those in to me or to David or to Suzanne or Bruce. And we'll get this data put together, and then we'll get back to you, and we'll start working our strategic plan, which our goal is to have it in David's hand July 1 for his year. So, thank you.
So if you have not gotten a copy, you know, online is the easy way. It was in that email. You can look on the, that email that you get every week and download it there. If you need another way, just let us know because we'd like to get as big a participation as we can. I think we've had about 50 or so. Where do you go? And we've got about 50 or so, so we need another 80 to be really full. So everybody, if you'll do that, please. Let's see, any other announcements? Okay. That next meeting, the next strategic planning meeting is May 6th on Tuesday, May 6th at 4 o'clock at the Arts Center in the Moretz Boardroom. And any member is welcome to come. We've had good participation. We had really some different people in the first meeting and different from the second meeting, so we've had a good mix, and we hope that everybody will continue to come to that that's been in on it, and you're welcome to come if you have not yet. Okay, the program today was, we bumped Ann Stallnaker's program because of the snow. As you remember, we had to actually bump our birthday celebration, which bumped Ann's program, and we bumped Ann to today. And between me and Ann, we didn't realize that this week was
the week that school's out. So Ann's not here, but her program is here, and we're really delighted to have Rachel Moyer here with us. If you have a teenager or a high school student, you know that there's that's at times that's what the definition of pressure is. Schools, colleges, and college prep is just intensely pressure-filled these days with all the things that are going on, trying to get scholarships because college is so expensive, and to get in the schools that you want to. There's a lot of competition both within the schools and of the students. So it's a huge industry in itself, as well as just educating our kids. Hickory High has done a great job of that, and preparing our students in the past. They've got a tremendous record there. And in the last couple of years, they've kicked it up a notch by instituting the International Baccalaureate program. And today, Rachel Moyer is going to tell us about that program. You can read a little bit about her in the Spoke, and she is head of that, and just told me that she is president-elect of the state IB Schools of North Carolina. So we have a celebrity as well. So please welcome Rachel Moyer.
Thank you so much. And so here I am, it's spring break. Ann and I had initially planned to bring some students along and really give you a full picture of what we do at Hickory High School, but today you got me. Sorry. But I do have some information, and I'm a visual person, and so I have a presentation over here, and so I'm going to collect the microphone and move it over there. I'm not used to speaking into a microphone, so this is new for me. I might have to put it down. So I am the coordinator of the International Baccalaureate program at Hickory High School, and what I tell students when I'm first trying to get them possibly involved and interested in the program, what I tell them is that International Baccalaureate is just a really, really fancy way of global diploma. That's all it means. It's just a fancy way of saying that. So we have 16 seconds so that this comes up. And in the Spoke, you can see the information that outlines essentially what our program is. Basically, we have a program. We are one school out of 30 schools in North Carolina who actually have this International Baccalaureate program. Many of you may have had students who participated in advanced placement courses when they were in high school. Maybe you have children. Some of you may have actually taken some advanced placement courses when you were in high school. I know I did. And so this program incorporates the use of coursework, just like advanced placement does, but it's a little bit different. We are an International Baccalaureate program. It's a program that promotes a full diploma program. So what I have for you here, these are the 10 best reasons, the 10 reasons that make our program that we have at Hickory High School ideal for college. And when I say ideal for college, it's even more than that. It's ideal for the student who goes on after college into the workforce, and some who even go into the workforce right after high school. So, number one reason that IB is ideal for university is this idea of breadth and depth. As I was pulling into the parking lot today, I was listening to a radio show, and there was an author of a book there, and they were talking about kids today, whether or not kids are all special, or whether we're all average, things like that. And one of the comments that the guest on the show said, one of the comments was that so many of our kids leave high school now and go into college, and they take predominantly math and science classes. And math and science has been hit so hard here lately that students are not incorporating humanities courses and advanced humanities courses as well. So one of the great things about our International Baccalaureate program is that it is a full diploma program. That means it's a liberal arts education, so that we are incorporating high stakes English, history, math, science, arts, and other electives as well. So what we do is we have breadth within the program, but each of the courses we focus on depth of understanding and knowledge. Oh, and so They did a study in 2012, the IB did. The IB is located in Cardiff, Wales, and there are different locations throughout the world. Our main office is in Bethesda, Maryland. And so in 2012, for the US, they did a study, they did a survey, and the students who graduated with IB diplomas were more likely to get into some of the top universities, such as the ones listed here. And of those universities, in the top 10, Duke and Carolina were also listed. So it's really interesting to us to know that Carolina, students who want to get into Carolina are going to be more likely to get into Carolina, for instance, if they are an IB full diploma student. Okay, so colleges really value the idea of this IB kid. And I'll go into a little bit more detail why that is with some of the next numbers, bullets. But what happens is the kids who graduate with this full diploma, this diploma is in years 11 and 12, and so our students who do the full diploma take the same courses in their junior year and in their senior year. So that whereas some classes might be on a semester setting, our classes in our program span the full length of the year, so it's more of a traditional school setting like many of you probably had when you were younger. So because of this, we can incorporate lots of different ideas. We can talk about how content areas, it's not just a linear kind of deal that everything's circular and that each of the contents is related to other contents. And the great thing about this is the Creativity, Action, and Service project. So a lot of schools in the country and internationally are actually starting to focus a lot on service. And in order for students to graduate, in many areas, their schools are incorporating a service component in order to graduate. So our diploma actually has this embedded. And so what we want is not just service, but we want our kids to be creative. So they actually have to be mindful and reflective of the things that they are creating. We also want them to be physically active because, as we all know, people who are physically active are healthier. It's easier for us to think and to study and process what we're doing and dealing with children and everything else for adults and students alike. And then we want them to participate in service. And so some of the things our kids have done, one year we had a student who incorporated a week-long summer camp at Central Latino here in Hickory and taught pre-literacy skills such as patterns and things like that to some of the children there to help them out with reading. We've also had students who volunteer and coach Little League baseball teams or girls volleyball teams. And so we've had a lot of kids who've really done some things that have gone above and beyond what the typical high school student does. I move my hands a lot, and so this microphone is really, really weird for me. So anyway, it's a great thing. This is one of the things that I'm in charge of. Our kids at Hickory High School have traditionally had a very strong service component anyway. We have lots of service clubs at Hickory High. This project just makes it a little bit different because the kids are asked to reflect on what they've learned through the process. So what have they learned about their community? What have they learned about people who are different from them? And so it's been a really neat experience for all of us. So the third thing, the great thing about this is that colleges around the world accept IB courses for credit. And we are really starting to have students ask questions like this. We haven't had somebody go abroad for school just yet, but we've had students who are coming into Hickory High School and are interested in studying abroad in France or in England, for instance. And so we're hoping that we'll see more and more and more of this as our program grows and as kids are more aware of the idea that they can not just study abroad for a semester, but possibly go to school for an entire year. Another great thing about this program is that we are creating independent learners and strong writers. And I know often, I'm also an English teacher, and so when people ask me what I do, I tell them, and the first thing that people initially say to me is, English is my worst subject. I hate writing. And so with this program, it's not so much writing in that all of our teachers have little red pens and we're circling all the mistakes, but it's this whole idea that if you really know something, tell me about it. And so this program really fosters this idea that we want the kids to be able to tell us what they know and what they understand and what they think about it. And so one of the great things in this program is that the students have to participate in an extended essay. It is essentially a graduation project research paper kind of thing. The great thing, though, is that the kids get to choose their own subject area, they get to choose their own topic, and so kids who are really interested in biology, for instance, might choose to do an extensive biology lab. Students who are interested in literature might read a book and analyze it. And so the kids are really able to delve into something that is significant and important to them. And they're self-directed in that. Okay, so we've got this whole international mindset thing. It's amazing to me how little teenagers know about things outside of Hickory. For example, I live in Granite Falls. They think that's really far away. And they're shocked that I live that far away and drive in Hickory each day. And so with this particular program, one of the things we do is there's a course called Theory of Knowledge. And in this program, I teach this class. And we talk a lot about how there might be a book or an article or maybe a scientific study or something that deals with social justice, and how people from different countries and even different parts of our own country might deal with this in a different way. And so we're really trying to help our students understand that everything is not just like it is right here. And it's been eye-opening. And I go through the Granite Falls thing every year. I would think it would get better as the years go by. Every year it's the same thing. Okay, it assesses more than examination techniques. So I was a kid in school who was not a good test taker. I didn't like bubbling things. I could convince myself that any one answer was right even though it was wrong, because I would overthink everything. And so we're not focusing on teaching to the test. There are examinations at the end of our courses, and those examinations are what colleges use in order to make the decision about whether or not they're going to award credit. But these examinations are open-ended. So if we go back to the comment that I made about how when we are teaching the kids to write, we're teaching them to explain what they know and understand, that's what the test does. The test actually asks them to say, okay, what do you know? And it's really amazing. We have a lot of really smart kids in our program, and smart kids, I think, are used to having all the answers, knowing there's just one answer for everything. And so when we give them an environment like this where they have to solve problems and think about things and really think outside of the box, it's a real struggle for them. But it's a great thing to see them be able to do what they can do when they complete this. Graduates of our program have said the #1 thing that was awesome about IB is that it helped them in school in order to manage their time, in order to triage what was important, what they could set aside for a while, and to figure out how to maintain a social life as well as a rigorous academic program. I think I've already really talked about this. Our kids are taught that it's important to question things. In this radio program that I listened to on the way here, that was one of the things that the guest was talking about. He was talking about how, unfortunately, our kids don't question things. And so my class that I teach, Theory of Knowledge, essentially it is the class where we talk about how do we know what we know. We know through reason, emotion, language, and perception, as well as memory and creativity and a few other things. But this is how we know what we know, and then we talk about what do we know. We know about all these different content areas. At some point in my class, it's usually after about the first month, kids just kind of throw their hands up in the air and say, everything I know is wrong. And I say, no, that's not true, but it's important for you to question things, and it's important for you to reflect on why you think something should be a certain way and to be able to justify that. And so because there isn't just one answer to everything, our kids are really understanding that they can have opinions, they can have ideas, but they're very good at supporting those ideas because we have taught them how to do that in all of these content areas. Okay, subjects are not taught in isolation. Most of our seniors at this point have completed what they need to complete before their final examinations in May. And so the biology teacher approached me and said, I'd really like to do this thing about drugs and ethics. And it's about prescription drugs and abuse of prescription drugs and all of this and what kind of biological effects it has, yada, yada, yada. She said, do you think we could incorporate that in your class a little bit? I said, sure. She said, do you think we could maybe incorporate it in some other classes, like maybe history and how things have happened throughout history in different places? I said, sure. So we sit down as a group and talk about how we can mesh ideas from different content areas so that kids can understand that it's not just what's in the book, there are things outside of the book as well. And then the last thing, so the IB has a learner profile. And when I first became the coordinator of the program, I used this as a marketing tool and I said, if you're a good communicator, you need to be in our program. If you're a risk taker, you need to be in our program. And then I realized that that's not what we're doing here. The purpose of the learner profile is that this is what we want our kids to become. We want them to be risk takers. That doesn't mean they have to jump off of the New River Gorge Bridge. That just means that they need to be able to put themselves out there and to do something that might be hard, be it an extended essay, be it a service project where they have to do something on their own without involvement of their parents. Maybe it's just collaborate with somebody because a lot of these kids aren't comfortable with collaboration. They have to have that control because of that grade. They want to be able to do it themselves. We really want our kids to be reflected, and basically what we want is we want our kids to be able to leave Hickory High School and become well-rounded people so that when they return to our community, that they can give back to the community that helped produce them. So this is my program. It's been a wonderful ride thus far. We have grown from a program that has just very few courses to incorporating several different electives. 3 electives we're hoping to incorporate next year. 2 of them are business courses, and we haven't been doing that at all. So we're hoping to offer an International Baccalaureate course in Business and Management, and then our other one is Informational Technology in a Global Society. It's basically a technology meets ethics class. And then the one that I'm most excited about is the IB really wants young children to focus on 2 different languages, their mother tongue and then language acquisition. So our kids take foreign language classes and they are very successful in these classes and they can actually have conversations in these second languages. But what we've not been doing is what they do in Europe. And in Europe, because people move around so much, they offer several different mother tongue languages as well as language acquisition courses. So next year at Hickory High School, we are going to offer IB English as a language acquisition course for our students who are ESL and not native speakers. So we're going to have this upper level, high stakes English language learning course for our non-native English speakers. And so we're trying to incorporate some of the international mindedness that our cousins over in Europe, for instance, do. So, I have some cards if you have any questions for me. Yes, sir.
Have you had any partnerships with the Catawba Science Center's Critical Thinking Institute program?
No, I have not, but I would love to hear more about that.
I'm sure that the executive director will be in touch.
Wonderful, thank you. Yes, sir.
Is civics and government involved at all?
So the IB has many courses that we don't offer. And what we started with is just this shell, the core basic courses. And slowly, we're starting to develop more courses. For instance, we did not have sports exercise and health science initially, but we realized that we had a bunch of smart kids and no athletes. So we thought, oh, you know, there's a sports exercise and health science class. Maybe that'll increase our athletes. And it did, extensively. And so we don't currently have a civics and government course. I don't know for sure that there is one because they're international. There's not one that we would take that focuses on just our own government, for instance. Now, they do take that course as either 10th or 9th graders, but not an IB level of that.
Rachel?
Yes?
Hey, having had a son who went through your program, could you explain to them a little bit about how it works? Because Hickory High is on a block system, but an IB course doesn't go for a full block. You kind of divide them up. So you're taking your 4 IBs, but you're also taking additional classes. So the time commitment can be sometimes more significant.
Yeah.
And my son did play 2 sports. So.
Absolutely, and he actually started before a lot of athletes started participating, actually. And so what Guy's talking about is that within the structure of our day, we have 2 semesters. Most students at Hickory High School take 4 classes in 90 minutes first semester, 4 classes in 90 minutes second semester. When we first started the IB program, we knew we needed 7 courses per year. Plus, we have a lot of students who participate in chorus, orchestra, and band. We wanted to make sure that our arts programs don't suffer. We have a very strong tradition of performance in the arts at Hickory High School as well. And so what we decided to do was go to skinnies. And so we have 43-minute courses. So in first period, there are 2 skinnies, and each is 43 minutes. And so basically we have juniors and seniors who cross paths in the hallway. And so the students who are taking on the full diploma track, they will take 7 courses and a study hall unless they participate in chorus, orchestra, or band. Some students do not choose to do the full diploma. Some students will choose to do a combination of some AP, some IB, and some just regular honors courses. And so if you're in the full diploma, for instance, your schedule is outlined for the next 2 years. If you're not, you might have to take some online courses, might have a little hole of a study hall, and might have to do something as a 5th period. There are some kind of different ways of doing that. The IB program is a rigorous program. And one of the things, well, we've done several things to help out with that. When we first started the program, everybody was teaching, all the teachers, I can say this because I was one of them, all the teachers were essentially teaching the course like, this is my course is the most important course, everybody's gonna get an A in this course. And so we were asking our kids to do a lot. We started to realize that because they were doing a lot, we needed to step back a little bit. And so we started to do some things, for instance, my major assignments, any test or essay that I assign to my students is always going to be due on a Thursday. English is always going to be due on a Monday. Biology is always going to be due on a Friday. And so we try to kind of switch it up a little bit because they're taking 8 courses, 7 or 8 courses in one day. And so we tried to help out a little bit with that. But they do have a lot of work. You know, we hear, every once in a while I hear somebody come to me and say, oh, well, I can't do IB because I can't pull an all-nighter. Well, they don't pull all-nighters all the time, but when they have, just one example, they all go to Windy Gap for a Young Life deal over the weekend, and it's inevitable that there's going to be an assignment due the next Monday or Tuesday. And so they end up going to Windy Gap, enjoying what they do, and then they come back and they stay up all night to finish an assignment that they could have done rather than go to Windy Gap. So it's one of those give or take things, and that goes back to the idea that the kids are able to prioritize and figure out what they need to do when they go to college. So they're figuring it out while they're home with mom and dad, rather than figuring out when they're away at school and they could go on probation, academic probation, if their grades drop. Does that answer your question? Does that help?
Yeah, it did. I
Okay.
just wanted.
Yes, sir.
Compare the IB to the AP classes as far as credit and that kind of thing.
So AP isn't a class, essentially. AP is a test. And we have lots of AP classes, and lots of our students take AP tests, either face-to-face classes or online. AP has a one-time end-all be-all sit-down examination. AP tends to be a lot of breadth within the course. So IB has breadth because we have lots of different courses. AP is breadth within the course. IB is depth within a course. So you might cover fewer topics within that subject area, but cover them more intensely. AP test, one-time sit-down end all be-all test. IB has multiple assessments. So there are internal assessments that are graded by the teachers, by the instructors, and then there are external assessments that are graded by IB. And then what they do is take a combination of both the grades in order to award points at the end. Colleges provide credit for students based on points awarded by either AP or IB. AP goes 1 to 5, IB goes 1 to 7. Some colleges prefer AP. Some colleges prefer IB. What we are finding is that if students have an idea of where they would like to go, they really need to check on whether or not the school prefers AP or IB. Some colleges really don't care. It doesn't matter AP or IB, but if you're a full diploma student in the IB, they will award a certain number of credit hours based on the achievement of the full diploma. So a parent emailed me yesterday and said that her daughter visited 2 schools in Pennsylvania, smaller private schools, and that both of them said they give an automatic 30 credit hours if you earn the full diploma, regardless of the scores on the individual assessments, because it's a full diploma. And there are lots, we're currently actually, I've been getting a lot of questions like this, so I'm in the process of kind of compiling what schools do. The problem is they're changing all the time about what they offer. And so as soon as I get it all figured out, I have to do it all again. That's why I say your best bet is to just check with the colleges. But there's a little difference there. Yes, sir?
What percentage of the student body does IB courses, and what percentage of the student body does total of all these advanced courses?
Okay. I'm not a numbers person, but I have this stored up here somewhere, so let me think about this. I know that we have 10% of our student body participates in IB courses. We have 28% of our juniors and seniors who participate in IB courses. We have 18.9 or 19.8, I can't quite remember, percentage of our students who participate in AP, IB, classes at LR, and classes at CVCC. So that's kind of like what you're talking about. I will say that, and I got all this information from the NC School Report Card, before we started the IB program, we had much less, like maybe 6% of our student body participating in AP, IB, CVCC, and LR, and now we're almost to 20. So we have a lot of kids who are taking upper level, challenging, rigorous courses at Hickory High School. Yes, sir?
What are the requirements to enter the full diploma program?
Okay, good question. All that we require at this point, we want the students to have the necessary prerequisites. And so they need to be seated in honors level courses. It gets a little tricky with some of the North Carolina requirements. We need to make sure that students, for instance, when they come to Hickory High School as 9th graders, they say, I'm really interested in IB. And so the counselors really work hard to make sure that they get all of their requirements in that North Carolina wants, like PE and health, 3 sciences, the maths that they need, and so on. But what we want them to do is make sure that they have their prerequisites. If a student has the prerequisites, and if the student is driven and wants to participate in IB, we do not hold them back. Does that answer your question?
One last question.
Yes.
One last question.
You gave figures before of 28%, before is 8% of that, of people participating.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at those figures, what percent were dropping out before that time, and what percent were dropping out now, because that could reflect the percentage.
Our total student body is smaller now than it was then, but that wouldn't affect the percentage. I don't know about the dropout figures. I'm not.
If you have more to lower level students dropping out, participation makes a difference.
Okay, I understand what you're saying. Yes, that would make a difference, but I do know that about 10 years ago, we had a dropout problem at Hickory High School, and our dropout rate has come down significantly. So that might help you. I don't know what those statistics are, but I do know that they've come in. I think it was in the paper not long ago. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rachel, and we will be making a donation in your honor of our speakers this year for the Polio Plus project that we have called the Purple Pinky Project, so we'll have part of that in your honor. We appreciate you coming. Thanks so much. Tom Atkins evidently has got an essay. Go right ahead.
All right, we have 33 cards, one joker. We took in $73 today for a total of $1,455. All right. 47668. 47668.
Have your free lunch card ready. Yeah, that's good. All right, we love failure in this. Have your free lunch. Okay, as you have probably seen if you weren't here last week, and we have the lovely Jennifer working the camera. So we tried that last week, and if you didn't have a chance to see it, it's tremendous quality. It really is. It's really good. So that link, it will be on Bruce's email that comes out, and it's really simple to hit that link and go to it's on a YouTube channel. So you can do that, and we're considering that a makeup. So you have to, if you do that, then you have to let Rusty know that you have made up by watching our program, and the 4-weight test does apply. So, for all of that. Also, remember the coins in the Alzheimer's research buckets. We thank Jeff and John and David from the Tuesday Club. Thanks for coming. Arnita, thanks for being here. Any other announcements? John.
David, sorry, totally self-serving. Sunday evening, the weather's going to be perfect at 5 p.m. downtown. There's a free concert by the Western Piedmont Symphony. Hope to see you there.
And Lee Young's here too, or slipped in, I think. Yeah, like Hickory. Okay, please stand and we'll be adjourned before we test. For the things we think, say, and do, is it the truth?